welcome back to my new video. I'm gonna be telling you guys stories about myself when I was growing up. If you guys, some of you know, I was adopted when I was younger. I came to United States by a family. I will put a picture around here somewhere. But yeah, let's get on to it. When I was growing up, it was hard for me to adjust to a new life. When I was adopted with my family, I only spoke Spanish. I had no word in English at all. My father and I would communicate in Spanish all the time when I was adopted in the family. Some of the people that helped him said that if you continue talking to her in Spanish, she's never gonna learn English. So my dad and I stopped communicating. We never spoke in Spanish ever again. I lost my Spanish. I had to pick up English, and I did pick it up pretty fast. If you guys know, I'm talking to you right now. But yeah. As I grew up, I started to feel more changing in my life. When I lived with my parents, I always looked in my room around, and I always thought that, what would it feel like if I took my life? Would anybody would miss me? Would anybody feel sadness for me? Like, would they ever feel sad while the days go by? I always thought about that. When I was growing up, I always thought it would be nice to do that. Kill yourself. I never told anyone this, but I always had that kind of thought in my mind to do that. Take yourself, take your life. If you do that, no one's going to miss you. Every time when I was in my room, I always thought of that. Like, how would it feel to have something around your neck and suffocate yourself? When I was growing up. Now I don't. I'm a mother of two. I have a man that loves me. We love each other very much. But as I was growing up, I always thought about that. I ran away from my problems because I always said that if I ran away from my problems, they will stay behind. But then I realized that you can't do that. Your problems come with you. You can't leave your problems behind because your problems are with you. They're always going to be with you, whether you like it or not. Now, I always did that. Yeah, I know. I ran away from home because I had problems. I was angry at myself all the time. Always went to bed thinking life tomorrow's gonna be perfect when it really wasn't. And I always thought about that. But yeah, we're gonna be moving on about that topic. But it was hard for me when I was growing up. A lot of people go through hard times. They go through hard lives, whether it's parents arguing, parents getting a divorce, getting in trouble in school, or you just not able to control yourself. But yeah, it was hard. And through time that it didn't seem like to get better. It just seems like to get harder and harder. And I would just stare at the mirror in the bathroom, looking at myself, thinking, you're not worthy of yourself. Why are you even here? You should have just ended your life back then when you were living with that lady. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about. When I was adopted. When I lived with that awful lady. But yeah, it was hard. You guys probably never understood why I was adopted. Just gonna go straight to that thing. But when I was younger, I lived with my dad and my mother. I have no picture or memory of her at all. I don't know who she is. I never met her. But I do know that she left me and my brother and my dad. My dad had to clean it up. I don't know any of this. If it's true, is what I heard when I was younger. So people might have different perspectives onto that's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, you're not me if you don't know what I'm talking about. And even if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's not your story, it's mine. So just so you know that when I said that, I didn't make it sound mean. But if you have your own perspective and saying that my story doesn't match up, you're lying, why are you talking about that about your family? It seems like they love you. I'm not talking about that kind of family. I'm talking about my family. I had my biological parents, my stepmother, what she did to me, and I'm not talking about my other parents. I love my other parents. I will show you guys a picture of them around on the video to comparison to you guys to who I'm talking about, and you will understand too what I'm saying. But besides that, don't be putting mean comments and saying, why are you talking about your family like that? Why are they saying that? They seem so sweet. Why are you saying that they hurt you? It doesn't look like they did. Why are you lying? It's not that. It's about a different family, a whole different type of different person. And if you're just gonna be mean about it and saying that, then I'm sorry if you, because then you're the one that's making your story mixed up. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be mean at all. Okay, that's all. So I'm just gonna get to it. I had a stepmother. My mother left because she thought that my dad wasn't good enough for her. She wanted more money, and that's something that my dad didn't have on him. So she went with a different person. But yeah, when I was growing up, I did see her. I remember I went to see my abuela in Spanish. I remember my dad telling me that my mother was going to be there. My dad never wanted to be with her anymore because of what she did. My dad thought that since my mother left, that he would want someone else, to take care of us, me and my brother. And as he will continue on working, I remember my dad that did constructions. He worked with houses, and he was a lot of things. He built our home that we lived in from ground to the top. My brother, I remember my brother would always fall asleep in class all the time. But he was, yeah. But back to my stepmother, she would hate me, and I never understood why she hated me. I always thought that my biological mother left because it was what I did, that it was all my fault. Maybe I did something wrong to her, that she wanted to leave my dad. But yeah, he did, and it was very sad. And I always thought it was my fault, that it was my dad that was all alone, that he had nobody with him anymore. So then came my stepmother, who hated me for no reason. I don't know why she hated me. But along to that, I started to realize that she wanted my dad. She didn't wanted me in the picture. She wanted my father because she didn't like the fact that my mother gave attention to me and not her. She didn't like the fact that my dad would hug me and kiss me and tell me how much he loved me. And she hated that fact. She hated it that I was getting all of that attention from my own father and she wasn't getting any of that. But she wasn't even my mother. She was just a lady living in my house. So she beated me, hit me. She would do nasty stuff to me. She would make me cook my own food. She would make me do a lot of stuff. She would make me take out the trash and not her children. I always had to be the one going to the market alone to get food. And it was hard for me because I didn't know what I was doing. She would, like, every time my father was around, she will always call me mi princesa, oh, mira cómo está, ay, qué bonita es ella. She will if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, she would say, my princess, look how beautiful you are. You look exactly like your father. Look how gorgeous he is. Oh, that's what she would say to me. If you guys do not know what I'm saying in Spanish, okay? Off my cheek and go like this. And I was like, oh, qué bonito tú eres. Te ves igual a tu papi. And I never understood why she did that, like when my father was around. But when my dad was always gone or was at work all the time, she just hated me. Like, she wanted to kill me. Like, no joke. Like, kill me. Every time when my father wasn't around at all, and my brother wasn't even home with me all the time because he ended up going to work with my dad, so I was always, me at home. He had no idea what was going on. I would always end up with bruises on my face or a scar on my arm, or why does she have that? But he never questioned. He would just look at me and say, are you okay? Where did you get this? And then I would look at her and she would just give me an ugly stare look, like I would just lie to him and say I got hurt, I fell down from playing, and he would just say to me, like, be careful next time. Like, in Spanish he would say, ten cuidado, no te lastimes otra vez. So I was like, well, I always said okay. But then there was one day, like, this was abusing of her over me went over time, and she would just get angry at me for like no particular reason. Like, she would just get mad at me and hit me. Like, I don't know if you guys, I have no idea how you guys got spankings, but I always got spanks with a sandal, a chancleta, a spoon, a cuchara, or a leather belt, un cinturón de pantalón, a rubber band, un hule muy... It was a thick rubber band, and I couldn't get the word out of my head in Spanish, but it was a rubber band. It was a thick thing. Yeah, it was really thick. Fuerte, así mira, está así mira, con un nudo amarrado en la de abajo. I don't have a pencil to draw it on you guys, but it was a rubber band. It was like long, but it came out like this, and it was long, and it had an opening, and on here it was a knot. And she would, one time I remember that like we didn't have an inside kitchen like we do now. A kitchen wasn't like this in a home. A kitchen was like outside, with like a sink and just saying. She hit the knot on my head of the rubber band, and she thought it was hilarious, so she continued hitting me while I was crying. And I didn't think it was funny, but she thought it was hilarious for her to do that. But yeah, she did that. The story, I have pictures in my mind running over and over again. But it was a sink, like a sink. It came out like this, and then like this, and then it came out, and then it went down, and there was water, like two sinks, and in the middle was the water thing. There was a faucet. Sometimes the faucet would work, and sometimes you didn't. You had to go to the well and get water, buckets of water, and take it to your house and put it in the middle of your little sink thing. I forget what's it called. But anyways, like once I would be due for dishes or laundry or something like that. So, like when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to play. I always had to do things for her. But I do remember me washing my brother's and my father's clothes. I always washed their clothes. Like she always said, like, not washing your dad's and your brother's clothes, you're gonna wash them. I was like, okay. I never washed her clothes or any of her kids' clothes, but I washed my father and my brother's clothes. And we would just hang them out on the line, on the rope, and hang them there. It was like a rope, like you would like open it and put the clothes in there and pull it up, and it will look like that, and it will look like bunny ears on the line. But along that went by, and like she started to like me, but then like this like thing in her just wedged over me, and she wanted to like eat me, like kill me, and she hated me so bad. I remember one time I was kneeling down, and there was a hatchet, like, you know those that looks like a hatchet thingy. I don't know if you guys are talking about me, but I'll put it right there. Like I was kneeling down, and the thing was right there, and my leg was hitting on it, and she didn't even do anything about it. Like she just let me bled, and I still have a scar on my leg, like I still have the scar on my ankle from when that happened. And also when I was like I always had to do chores for her. I had to do things for her. Like I wasn't, like she hated the fact that my dad was giving me attention. Like every time my dad would give me attention, like she would punish me. Like, go do this, go do that. You're not allowed to go outside. You have to do this. Go do your own laundry. I'm not washing your laundry or your father's laundry or your brother's laundry. Go do your own laundry. Do your own food. I'm not cooking for you and your dad. And it was like that. Like it was pretty bad that she just hated me. She loved her children. She just hated the fact that I existed in her life. I wasn't even her daughter, and I didn't even see her as my mother. I wouldn't even call her a mother. I would just look at her. But I was attached to my dad a lot, all the time. Me and my dad always hanged out all the time, and she just hated the fact that I was always with him. So there was then days went by, and my dad was at work one time, and she was on her chair, and I was washing dishes, and I broke a cup, not a cup like this, but a cup with an earpiece. And she was brushing her daughter's hair, and I was doing the dishes, washing them, and a cup slipped out of my hand. You know, you have soapy hands. Eventually a cup is gonna fall down. But I was washing dishes, and it broke. and her daughter, she was like, Mommy, mira, quebró un vaso. And I was like, I knew something was going to happen. She raged out of her chair, grabbed the earpiece, because when it broke, the earpiece was attached, but there was a pointy part to it. And she grabbed that earpiece and wedged it on my hand. I have scars right there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's some right there. They're right there. I have other ones. I have eight cuts on my hand from when she did that. It was really sad for me because I'm sorry, I'm gonna cry. I never understood why she did that to me, and I always thought I did something wrong. Like, when I dropped that cup, I wasn't like, I was trying to do it for her to hit me or for her to hate me or anything, and I wasn't gonna cry. I wasn't gonna cry, guys. But when that cup fell down on the floor and she grabbed my hand, it was really hurting me. She wouldn't let go of me because her arm was under my neck, like under my head. Like, she had me locked up under her arm. And when she had me under there, she had me locked up, and she had my arm, and every time I pulled away, she would just continue wedging and hitting me over and over and over again. And after that happened, I actually bit her under the armpit. I bit her under her right here, and I ran from her. I sat in the bathroom. There was no bathroom back then. The bathrooms that we had was outside, but it had like cement walls around the barrel thingy, and there was like a curtain. But in the curtain, we would always like sat down and we would shower. We didn't have no shower head, so we had to get our own shower bucket with water just to get a shower. But I remember me sitting down there with my arm like this, drizzling with blood. My dad came home and he found the blood on the, like, inside the house. She wasn't nowhere to be found. She was around the house. She just wasn't there when my dad arrived. When my dad found out what happened to me, I was in the shower behind the curtain. I was sitting down, and he asked me why I was crying, and he said, "Is that you, Jess?" But in Spanish, he was saying, "Eres tú, Jessica?" One time, they were calling me through the fence, and they said, "Hey, we have food for you." And they started giving me some, and I was so hungry, and I ate it, and they were giving me food and giving me more and more and more, and through the fence. And she got so angry about it, she pulled my hair and dragged me to her bedroom. She put her nails, like her hand like was like this, she put her nails on my neck and gave me these scars right here that I have. I don't know if you guys can, hold on, my hair's under my hair. You guys can see it. Put this scar right here. Hold on. You guys see it? This scar right here. She did that to me. And the reason why was because I wouldn't stop crying, but the reason I was crying was because she was hurting me. And she would just tell me to like shut up, like stop crying. And she got so angry about it because I wouldn't stop. Well, no, I wouldn't stop because she kept hurting me. If I wasn't crying that loud, she would have taken her hand off my neck. So she choked me, and she got so angry about it that her nail went through my skin. And I have this scar right here. I don't think that's the only one I have. She pulled that through my neck. And I never told that anyone because she told me that if I ever told my dad about that one, that she would do it worse. Which I don't understand what worst meant back then, but now I do know what it means. She will she will go far as in killing me. And I wasn't allowed to talk. Like, I wasn't allowed to say anything to anyone. I couldn't talk to my brother. I never told my brother. I never told my dad ever again for what she did to me right here. Although my hair was long, so I was able to hide it back then. But I do remember that. She made me do a lot of things for herself. She always made me go to the junkyard just to take trash, just so she could have time with my dad. She hated that fact that my life was being evolved around my father, who I known for a long time. I don't even know if my dad is alive. I don't even know if my brother's alive. I never heard them anymore. I never saw them anymore. I never got to talk to him anymore. I never said goodbye to him when it was time for me to be adopted. When I was growing up, I do remember my dad. This is really funny. My dad always time when he came to visit me in the orphanage. A bunch of police came into my house because she made me carry a big giant basket. Like in Guatemala, there's giant baskets that you put trash or leaves or anything, and you take it to the dumpster. But we didn't have a dumpster. We had like in the forest, there was a dumpster that you can throw, and that's where I was supposed to take that to the trash. And I do remember that I was taking that with me, and I forgot to mention that she made her daughters take trash to the dumping place. But to me, she made me carry the big giant basket, and she made her daughters carry the smaller ones. And when I asked her why I couldn't carry the little ones, she said no. She said that I had to carry the big giant one, the one that was heavier. So I did. And I tripped over a rock and I twisted my ankle. And that's how the ambulance and the policemen came and took me away from my father, all because of her. But it was really hard. So yeah, that's what I was saying. If I forgot to mention that in there. Anyways. A lot around the neighborhood knew what was going on. They knew what she was doing to me, but they didn't want to get involved around it. But they knew something was going on because every time they saw me, there was a bruise on me, on my face, or a bruise on my arm, or my legs, or my hand, or my shoulder, or my neck, or something. And the mark she left on my hand, on my neck, like it was there. I wasn't allowed to tell my father what she did to me. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody because the more she did that to me, the more I got afraid. And I was trying to be brave for not being so scared. But at the end, I was scared of her. She was an awful woman. And I do remember one time she was taking me to the doctors because she was gonna get my hand examined. His hand. I don't know if you guys can see it better. This hand. My she took me to the doctors and she told me to lie to the doctor to how I got that scar in my hand, and she said, I don't want you to be talking at all. I'm gonna be the one talking. I'm gonna be the one saying what happened to you. You're not allowed to speak. And she ended up lying to the doctor and told him that I got burned. I got burned. And it wasn't true. I wasn't allowed to say a single word to anyone because of what she did to me. I was scared and hurt for all the things that she was doing to me and hurting me, trying to kill me just so she could have my father. Like, my father was so blind that he had no idea what the hell was going on. Like, he had no idea how I was getting hurt, like how all these bruises on me always came on to me, and he never understood or ever questioned me. He would just say, are you okay? How did you get that? But he never asked me, who gave that to you? Who's the person hurting you? He never asked that question to me at all. So later on, I was sent to the orphanage. The policeman came and they asked me how I got my hand, because my hand was still healing. How did you get that scar on your ankle? How did you twisted your ankle? And I told them everything, that it was her, that she did that to me. They didn't do anything to her. They didn't arrest her. They didn't say anything. But I do remember some words that she said to me when the ambulance in the hospital, the ambulance came, the cops came, and the neighbors knew what was going on. Like, I didn't even tell them, but they knew something was going on. Someone ended up calling the cops on me, and they took me away from her. When the cops came and took me, they asked me if I was okay. I had told her about everything, what was going on. She came out of the house, and I remember me just turning around, looking at her. And in her own words, she said, regresate. Ya no te voy a lastimar nomás. Te voy a cuidar. And that was the end. I never saw my father ever again, or my brother. I was sent to the orphanage when I was younger. I never saw my dad or my brother. I didn't know what was going to happen because they took me away from him when he wasn't home. He was at work when this whole thing happened. Sometimes I have dreams about my dad or my brother, wondering how they're doing, if they're okay. When the cops and the ambulance came, they didn't do anything to her. They just let her go. I was so upset that they did that to her, that they didn't do anything to her. They just took me away, and I should have done that. And they never should have done that. I'm sorry, I'm not able to talk. They should have done something to her. They shouldn't have never taken me away from my dad. My dad came home that day, and he said that when he came to visit me in the orphanage, he said I had no idea where I was. He had no idea where I went, he said. And it wasn't even my dad that was hurting me, it was her. and I never did anything to her. I was in the orphanage, all scared, wondering if I was ever gonna see my dad ever again, or my brother. And until this day, I kind of wish I knew how my father looks like, because he has grandkids. He has 2 that he needs to meet. And my brother needs to meet them too. He's an uncle and he doesn't even know it. My father, he's an abuelo. Y él no sabe de que él tiene 2 nietos en su familia. I just did my makeup and I'm crying. But when it took me away from my father that day, I cried, wondering if I was ever going to see him again. I saw him a couple of times, but that was the end. He never came to say goodbye to me at all. He will always tell me scary stories about white people. Like, he will always say, don't ever trust those white people. You know what they do to kids like you? They take the heart out of you, and then they give the heart that's yours to their white children. And I was always scared of what he said to me that day, but I just knew that they were just him just scaring me, because he knew that he was going to lose me and he just didn't want that to happen. But yeah, that was the last conversation I ever had with my dad in the orphanage, and I never saw him again. I never saw my dad. I never saw my brother. But you know what bothers me is that when he came to visit me, the lady, and my dad had a baby with her. I don't call that baby my brother or my sister, because my father had a baby with an abusive woman. Now that I wasn't in the picture anymore, she was able to do things with my father, things that I was around that I wasn't able to give my dad. And my dad left. He didn't leave me, but she took me away from my dad just so she could have my father. I remember that one time I got really, really sick. And hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I had to get a tissue. I got really sick one time, and I had a dream, and my dad was there. I was there, and the baby that he had with her, and my abuela died when I was in the orphanage, and my biological father told me that it was all my fault because she died. And all of this time I was carrying this guilt that my mother left me and my brother. Left me and my brother with my dad. And then a lady had to live in with us. And I felt like I was being punished for what I did to my mother. I'm making her leave. And every time I was getting hit by that lady, it was more guilt I was carrying around myself. When my abuela died, I remember my dad came to the orphanage and told me that my abuela died, and told me that it was all my fault because she died, because I wasn't there to be with her. So after that happened, I always had that guilt around myself, and my dad left and I said goodbye to him. A lot of people in the orphanage still had family, and I was the only one with no family. No one was going to like me. Hold on. Okay. It's too bright. No one was going to ever have me in their family at all. And that's one thing that I remember that I was sitting in the middle, and there was only two, and my abuela appeared there. And there were people just asking me, choose. Who are you going to choose? And for some reason, my father was holding the baby, but then it ended up jumping to me holding the baby, and I had to choose between my father or the baby that my father had with this lady, who my whole entire childhood, she abused me, hit me almost to the point of killing me, of her killing me. And she did all of that to me. And in my dream, I had to choose between my father or the baby, which I had no idea why. So people were saying, choose. Like, who are you going to choose? And I never understood why they were saying it to me, like, choose what? Like, I had to choose a family. I had to choose between him, my father, or this child that's not even called my sister or my brother. So I was not able to do that. And I did that. So after that, I was crying because I didn't know what to do. And my abuela appeared, like it felt like she was an angel to me. And she was sitting right next to me. Like, she wasn't sitting next to my dad. She was sitting right next to me. And people started throwing rocks because they got angry and they were throwing rocks at me. But I wasn't getting hit by rocks. The rocks were not hitting me. But my abuela was there to protect me. She was like, basically like my guardian angel. And do any of you guys know what a guardian angel is? Because to me, that's how I felt like. That I was being protected by my abuela. But yeah. Like in my dream, she was telling me in Spanish, "Es okay, mija, todo va a estar bien." And I just looked at her, and I looked at my father, and then I looked at the people, and all I saw was them throwing fists, rocks, anger in their faces. And they had to choose And they were getting angry and angrier because I didn't choose the people. Like, I didn't choose who I wanted to choose for. And I woke up crying. I told that to my dad. Oh yeah, back then when I was in the orphanage, I got adopted. And by these people, I will insert a picture right here somewhere, and I'll show you guys who I'm talking about. So yeah, I was adopted. And then when I told that to my dad about that dream, he said, it makes me angry how your father could not do anything about that lady and not able to kick her out, and for the things that she did to you. And all of this time, I've been carrying this guilt that it's all my fault that my parents separated. And it's all my fault that my biological mother, my stepmother, was hitting me. It was all my fault that my dad wasn't able to find someone that he could be with. And it was all my fault that I was sent to the orphanage. All of this time, I had this thing on me because of the people that I was living in with. And I don't blame my dad, because my dad didn't know. He was just trying to protect me and my brother. But all of this time, and yeah. My biological father, was not an idiot. He just didn't know what was happening. He wasn't around to see this woman hurt me, and he had no idea because I wasn't able to speak up when I was growing up. My father never knew about it. So that's what I'm talking about. When I got adopted, I was scared at first. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And that was all that. And it was hard for me. And until this day, I always wondered what my father would be doing right now, or is he even alive? Is my brother happy? Did he ever find someone to be with? Does he have grandkids? Is he happy with the person he's with? Does he ever visit my father? Did my father ever get to meet his grandkids? I always wanted to know where my brother would be right now. I do know that I miss them daily. And I would love to meet them and tell them that I miss them. I never told this story to you guys because I was scared, and I knew crying would happen at all. I knew that I was going to end up crying because it's a story. People are always saying you should love your story. What is there to love? Love yourself, because you grew up with an abuser, with a lady that wanted to kill you. I don't call that a story. I don't know what kind of story that is. And I still carry that around on me. Was it my fault that my parents separated? But yeah. I would love to meet my father again and tell him that he has grandkids, nietos. Meet my brother and tell him, do this. Que él tiene nietos también. Y decirle a él la que lo amo y lo extraño mucho. Y también mi papá. Que los extraño. Me gustaría verlos otra vez y decirles a que los amo mucho. Y decirles a que tienen nietos. Y decirle que él es un tío y mi papá es un abuelo. Y mi mamá. A mí no me importa ella. You ever know that every time I tell this story to people, I always cry because it's sad. Every time. They're always saying, oh, you don't know nothing about me. Your life is perfect. No, it's not. My life is not perfect. Just because I came to the United States and my parents gave me papers, that doesn't make me perfect. I grew up with an abusive woman that my brother and my father had no clue what was going on. They don't know that. But that's what happens. But yeah, that is my story. I never told anyone about this, neither on my YouTube channel or my fans. And you guys don't know who I am. My name is not Jess. I go by the name Jess, but my name is Jessica. I was adopted when I was younger by a white family. I don't call them white because I just don't. They're my family. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Because if I lived with my stepmother, bet your bottom dollar that I would be dead. I was saved by them. That's my story. And if you don't like my story, well, I'm sorry, because that's what happened. I will put pictures up on the screen so you know. I couldn't find a picture of my brothers, but in the family picture, you will see everybody in it. I tried my best of finding one of them, but I couldn't. When I'm telling the story about my life and myself, yeah, never thought this would be hard at all to tell, but yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And if you didn't like the story about me, I'm sorry. But I do hope that you did like it. And if you guys know that if you are going through a hard time in your life and you're going through an abusive part of your life and someone's hurting you, don't hesitate to call someone of your family, because you can always get help. I I didn't know who to call when that was happening to me when I was younger. But yeah, that was my life. And I don't want to say I hope you enjoy this video, because there's nothing to enjoy about it. It's just a video. But yeah, my husband would have loved to meet him, for him to know who he is and able to say hi to his son-in-law. But yeah, I'm gonna go now, and I love you guys. Comment down below, okay? Tell me your stories. Bye.